All right, today we are going over the three biggest mistakes that I see people making on LinkedIn. My name is Chris Casalino, and I am the co-founder and head of services at Uptown Creation, a B2B marketing and business development company. So the three biggest mistakes that I see both new users and people who think they're veterans on LinkedIn making are as follows. So first, using bots or automation. I'll go into the multitude of reasons why bots and automation are bad for your account. Two, having a pitchy or salesy or spammy headline in your profile. And then third, using what I call dirty words on LinkedIn or value vomit. And I'll go into the specific dirty words that I think you should avoid like the plague on LinkedIn. So the first thing is to avoid bots and automation. So why should you not use bots and automation? If it being against terms of service isn't enough for you, I know that I've experimented with tools in the past and have loved the idea of gaining back my time. And that's the reason why you use bots and automation is you want to gain back some time at the end of the day. So the reason not to use bots and automation are the first reason, LinkedIn is going to know, and they're going to hinder your account for it. So whether they're limiting reach or making it so you start getting blocked, making it so it's more difficult for you to use LinkedIn as it's intended to be used, or whether it's something more subtle, like not getting seen by as many people when you make a post. So that's the first thing, is those people will call them shadow bans, shadow blocks. They exist on Instagram like that. The second reason is if you're trying to automate something, you should assume that you know how to do it really well. And if you don't know how to do targeting or do messaging really, really, really well, then you have no place automating that in the first place. And let me give you an example. As you go through the motions of sending connection requests, sending messages, there's little subtle things that you pick up on, and they cause you to make changes to your strategy. If you don't have that feedback loop, you're never going to be able to make those changes. You're never going to be able to make those subtle targeting changes that make all the difference, or those subtle messaging changes that make all the difference. So that would be the primary reason if harming your account isn't enough. If harming your account isn't enough, think about what in terms of targeting you can learn by doing that activity yourself. And so I'll give you an example. When I was targeting pharmacists initially to connect with my own network, I thought the best way to do that is just to type in pharmacist. I ended up getting some really weird results when I did that initially. And I was using one of the wrong filters, but also I wasn't including degree titles or titles that come along with it. So I found that a better way to target pharmacists was to target PharmD or RPH as the titles that somebody's having or including in their last name. So that's a subtle example that I even knew the people I was wanting to target, but I still made changes. If you're new to the game, there's going to be even bigger changes that you're going to want to make. So that is two of the primary reasons that you should avoid bots and automation. And I have a multitude of other reasons. If you're interested, I'll probably make a video just on why not to use bots and automation in 2021 and beyond. So the second thing is to not use a spammy or salesy headline. And so what I mean by that, let's go and look at my headline first. So my headline is pharmacist, co-founder, etc., etc. And the reason why this is so important is this is what's going to pop up when you send a connection request or when you start interacting with somebody. This is also going to be one of the things that pops up when you make a post in your feed. So this is going to be the way that people identify you when they see you. So it's really hard for people not to see it. So if it looks spammy or if it looks salesy, it's really going to hinder people engaging with you, people connecting with you, and just your overall LinkedIn experience. Let me give you an example of what I mean by not being a spammy headline. So you can see all these different headlines of people as well as their profile pictures. This is a really good example of a spammy headline. Banks say no, we say yes. Get your dreams funded today. you know exactly what this guy's going to do, right? Like, he's not even trying to hide it, and you know that there's going to be a sales pitch coming or a spamming message or an automated message. It's just not going to be somebody that you want to connect with. Similarly, a little bit more subtle, but I help small businesses dig out of the overwhelm of their business finances. So a lot of LinkedIn gurus and people that try to train people on LinkedIn will tell you that this is a great place for SEO and to make it so you pop up in Google searches, to make it so when people search business finances that you'll pop up. I do not think that the benefit of that outweighs the hindrance that you're going to incur on yourself by having this be tied to you directly under your name with every single interaction that you do. It just makes it so you have a lot harder of a time doing the things that are already difficult, like prospecting, outreach, finding the right messaging, finding the right targets. It's going to make your entire LinkedIn experience just more difficult. So you should really focus on having a clean headline. So this one right above it, tech evangelist, startup enthusiast, data and solutions architect. I think this looks super clean. I love these like line breaks where you just have that straight line. And I like the short to the point, this is what I do and this is what I'm passionate about. And then if you want to do something like tell people what you do, there's ways to do it in more subtle ways than just directly coming out and saying, I help small businesses do XYZ, like so many people are doing. I'll give you a little bonus tip here since we're in my connection requests. You can see that there's a lot of people sending messages. So you should never send a message in a connection request unless it's going to be hyper targeted. Like you saw somebody at a conference and you're saying, hey, it was great to meet you at the conference yesterday and we got drinks after. I'd like to add you here. And that's going to be some of the dirty words that I talk about next. But 99% of the time, you should avoid including a message in the connection request. So the last thing you should avoid doing on LinkedIn, and the biggest mistake that I see people make, is using what I call dirty words. So some of those dirty words are phrases are thanks for connecting. I'd love to add you to my network. Let's connect. Let's network, connect, words like that. Like I found your profile through our mutual connections. Things like that are going to be the things that you want to avoid because they're just heavily overutilized by bots and automation. So we talked about why not to use bots and automation, but even if you're doing things manually, people still find a way to make themselves act body or look body and automated by following the guides that they see on Google and sending out messages like, I'd love to introduce myself, or even though we don't know each other, I thought that we'd mutually benefit from connecting with each other. Those terms and phrases are just so overutilized. And I'm sure that you've experienced it if you spent any time on LinkedIn. Go through your own inbox and look at how many people are saying things like, I'd like to join your professional network. Let's see what else. Hoping to connect, would love to connect, etc., etc. So those are the dirty words and dirty phrases. And there's a multitude of others, but I could probably make another video about that entirely. If you have any questions, you can message me on LinkedIn and I can tell you some of the other things to avoid. So those are the dirty words and phrases. The second part of this is avoiding value vomit. So once you do connect with somebody and now it's going to be time to start talking to them, you should really, really make a point of doing this naturally and organically. And I know that's easier said than done, but if you want to look into anything, look into social selling. Social selling is the concept of building trust, relationship, and actually genuinely interacting with somebody before you ever try to pitch them on anything. It's forming that relationship before pitching. So you should look into social selling if you're interested in doing any outreach on LinkedIn. But back to the value vomit. So value vomits are going to be things like sending a link or a PDF where you're assuming what somebody's problem is just because of their title or their position, when in reality, you don't know if they have that problem at all. An example of this could be reaching out to the CFO of an organization and saying, hey, I thought you'd benefit from this PDF talking about how CFOs can better optimize their teams. And then you send that to a CFO because you want to coach CFOs, and you send that to 20,000 CFOs. That would take a long time to do, but you get the point. They're going to see right through that, and it's going to be an annoyance because you're assuming that they have that problem when maybe they do, but they haven't told you that. And there's probably more nuances to the way that they perceive their problem. The best thing that you're going to do is start a conversation, ask questions to dig into what their problems actually are. And then if they tell you something that they're struggling with, then you can try to help them and solve that problem for them. But don't try to solve people's problems before you even know what they are. So to recap this video, avoid bots and automation for a multitude of reasons. Make your headline less spammy, less CEO, less salesy, and more focused on the who you are, the what you do, and what you're passionate about in short, hard-hitting statements. And then the final thing is avoid the dirty words and phrases that I talked about, and avoid the value vomit. Hopefully this was helpful. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. My name is Chris Cozzolino. Follow us on this YouTube channel and check out our website at uptowncreation.com. Until next time.